Okay, guys, sorry about that. I am back. We're just going to continue on where I left off. I don't know what happened there. My camera just cut off. So, again, we were just finishing off talking about our traits. Okay, so traits: easygoing, energetic, shy. Right? And remember, guys, you are the experts on these things. So, all right, guys, now before we move on to our second question of self-investigation, I have a question for you guys. So, what are the 4 things you need to investigate to find out what you are good at? All right? You have 2 minutes starting now. All right, guys, great. So the 4 things we we need to investigate to find out about ourselves: skills, interest, values, and traits, okay? Awesome, awesome. The next question we need to answer is, what occupations are out there for me? Did you know that there are hundreds of occupations in the Canadian labor market that cover thousands of different job titles? That's a lot of choices. But you don't have to find out about all 40,000, just the ones that might be right for you. So most occupations can be sorted into 4 groups depending on what they work with: people, things, ideas, data, or information. Using this approach is simple, but the 4 groups are really too big to help us make an occupational choice. Why? Because many occupations can fit into more than one group. For example, think about 2 different occupations where people work with things: floral designer, truck driver. These occupations are quite different from one another. They would appeal to different people, so we need a more precise way to group them. To make the categories more precise, we break them into we break the 4 groups into subgroups called occupational categories. There are 7 occupational categories: manual or practical, crafts and trades, scientific and technical, creative, social or helping, business, office operations. Some of these categories probably appeal to you more than others, and that's okay. Let me just grab my book here now, because I've definitely been using that to refer back to everything that we're discussing, okay? So, the following chart illustrates how different how different kinds of tasks relate to the 4 groups and how the 4 groups relate to the 7 occupational categories. Okay? So in task on this chart, we have doing physical work, for example. The group that falls under, things. And the occupational category for that would be manual, practical. Working with your hands, still under the things group, and the occupational for that one though would be occupational category. And then there's the task of working with machines. It's still under the group things, but there would be another occupational category for that, such as trades, right? So, or manual. There's so many different areas that you can put different jobs into, because some are just not in one area, like I had mentioned just now. So working with ideas under the ideas group is scientific and technical. Expressing ourselves in work under the ideas group is being creative. Helping others is under the people group. So being a social worker or helping people in our field of work as an employment specialist or providing any supports and services. So that's kind of the group I fall under. Managing others, that would be a people business as well. Working with data, which falls under the data or information group and also falls under the office operations category. Working with details falls under both too. So it really does depend on what specific category, occupational category, you can group your specific tasks into. Okay? So on my sheet, in my booklet, I have a picture of a diagram that shows some examples of occupations within each category. So I'll just read that out for you guys, because it's kind of following off the same chart that I have here. So in the data area, under office operations, we would have clerical work, computer data entry, accounting. So anybody who's interested in admin work would probably be looking towards more of the data or information group. So the things group, we have manual or practical under there. And that includes sports, fishing, farming, or labor work. We also have crafts and trades under the things group, which includes sewing, carpentry, and house painting. Okay? So that's just the one thing under the things group. Then under our ideas group, we have creative, which is art, photography, or stage management even. Under scientific and the technical category or occupational category, we would have mining as a job, x-ray technology, drafting, or surveying. Now under the people group, we have business, which is sales, travel, management, advertising, or we have social or helping, which would be childcare, teaching, recreation, social services like I am in, and healthcare. So there are many occupations in each category, but the people who work in them tend to share similar skills, interests, values, and traits. Don't be surprised if you see some very different occupations grouped together. For example, crafts and trade workers usually deal with things. And how many things are there in this world? A lot. Well, for them, the example they use is everything from bricks to door locks to food are things. That's why there can be such a variety of occupations in one group. Some will have absolutely nothing to do with others. In the next several slides, we are going to talk about the 7 occupational categories in more detail. By comparing your own skills, interests, values, and traits to the occupational categories, you can get closer to discovering what occupation may be most suitable for you. The better the fit between you and your choice, the more likely you are to feel satisfied. So, find your starting point, guys. Maybe you're not 100% sure that the occupational category you're choosing is the right one for you. Still, it's important to choose something as a starting point. You'd be surprised what new possibilities can come along once you get going. You can always look at other categories later. Okay, everybody, it's question time. Before we move on to discussing the categories, I want to know, which of the 7 occupational categories do you feel you fit into? Okay, you have 2 minutes starting right now. All right, you guys. Thanks for sharing, everybody. I'm glad to see we are listening, which is always good. So just a reminder, guys, there are 7 occupational categories, which I just mentioned. Manual or practical, crafts and trades, scientific and technical, creative, social or helping, business, office operations. All right, moving on. The first category we are going to discuss is the manual or practical category. This is work that usually deals mostly with things and is physically active. Here are some of the work settings, industries, and occupations. Construction industry, laborer, trades, helper, plumber. Agricultural and forestry industries, that would be farmer, ranch worker or logger. Sports and recreation industries would have groundskeepers, athletic equipment, custodians, ice maker. Hospitality industry, they would have dishwashers, housekeepers, food and beverage servers. In the service industry, they would have mail carriers, taxi drivers, firefighters. Now I'll let you know the skills, interests, values, and traits that are attached to this category. So under the skills, you would have to probably be interested in athletics, mechanical, and you'd have to be interested in mechanics, strong. Interests would have to surround around action, physical work, sports, animals, plants, equipment. Values would have to surround around steady routine, being outdoors, being active, and freedom of space. And then traits, independent, able to work alone, and down to earth. Okay, so that's a manual or practical category of work. Next, we have the crafts and trades category. This is work that deals mostly with things and depends on using your hands or operating machinery. Here are some of the work settings, industries, and occupations. Oh, sorry, I'm going to change my page over. So, Construction, under the construction industry, any worker in the trade, so that would be a painter, bricklayer, electrician, or a cabinet maker. Manufacturer, assembly line worker, shipper and receiver, and a welder. Agricultural and forestry industry, you would have a nursery worker, a taxidermist, or a landscape gardener. And under service industry, you would have locksmith, hairstylist, cook, office equipment technician. Okay, so skills. So some of the skills, abilities, interests, and values that follow under this area. So skills, working with hand tools, working with numbers, working with machines, that would be some of your strong skills. Your interest, structures your interest would be structures, fixing and building stuff. Your values would be stability, creativity, a challenge, seeing results of work. And then your traits would be being able to work alone and being precise. All right, so those are all for crafts and trades category. Next, we have the scientific and technical category. And this category deals mostly with ideas and imagination and makes ideas useful. So here are some of the work settings, industries, and occupations. Okay, so universities and research facilities. So you would work as a research lab worker, scientist, technician in biology, geology, forestry, or astronomy. Medical centers. Medical laboratory technologist, animal health technologist, therapist, medical doctor, dentist, veterinarian. Engineering companies, any type of engineer, technician, technologist, surveyor, drafting technician, computer programmer, systems analyst, software engineer. Skills. Thinking, doing tests and experiments, working with numbers, researching would have to be your thing. Interest would be science, math, and just having general random ideas to do stuff. Your values would follow under order, freedom to make decisions, freedom of time, understanding things. And your traits would follow under independent, creative, curious about how things work. It's pretty cool. Now we move on to our creative category, guys. Oh, my computer is frozen and I keep hitting my binder. She keeps messing up my video stands. So I apologize, guys. Come on. This looks a little weird and wonky, but okay there. Okay. That should be okay there for the last little bit. Okay, so the creative category. This is work that deals mostly with ideas and imagination and finds new ways to do things. Here are some of the work settings or industries and occupations in this area. So, entertainment industry. You'd be a dancer, actor, makeup artist, set designer, film editor, cartoonist. Under the galleries and museums, so you'd be a curator, painter, sculptor. Advertising and graphic arts industries, illustrator, graphic designer, visual merchandiser. Service industry, floral designer, interior decorator, meat cutter. Publishing industry, reporter, creative or technical writer, translator, editor. So some of the skills you would probably want are finding new ways to do things, making things out of different materials, and using sense of hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell. Definitely my type of category. Interests, decorating or designing, performing or acting, books or stories, art or music. So that's the stuff you would be interested in. Values, freedom of time, unstructured situations, trust in own mind, body, and feelings. And traits, able to work alone, imaginative, expressive, risk-taking, independent. Okay? Now we move on to our social or helping category. The social, this is work that deals, there we go. This is work that deals mostly with people and helps people. Here are some of the work industries and occupations. Education industry, so a teacher aide, child and youth care worker. Social service industry, so that would be a social worker, a probation officer, counselor, community support worker. Recreation industry, we would have recreation coordinator, fitness instructor, coach. Healthcare industry, we would have nurse, therapist, paramedic, residential aide, dental assistant. Service industry, police officer, flight attendant, daycare worker, outdoor sports and recreation guide, which would be pretty cool actually. So some of the skills you would need for this category: listening, communicating, helping, leading. Interest you would probably have to have: people, teaching, helping, taking care of people. Your values would probably surround around being helpful, doing something worthwhile, variety, being cooperative. And then some of your traits would probably be trusting of personal feelings, understanding of other people, responsible, compassionate, and creative. So those are all of the different skills, interests, values, and traits that fall under the social or helping category. Let's talk about the business category though real quick. This is work that deals mostly with people and involves managing or organizing people, okay? Here are some of the work industries and occupations that fall under that. Wholesale and retail companies, so salesperson, public relations representative, manager, owner, or operator. Promoting industry, so advertising account manager, product demonstrator, fundraiser. Service industry, restaurant manager, real estate agent, travel agent, insurance salesperson. So some of the skills you would probably need for this area would be leading, persuading, motivating, and communicating. Some interests you would want to have would be people, managing, selling, and discussing. Some values that you would probably want to be surrounded around would be independence, money, power, decision-making, contact with people. And some of the traits that you would probably have would be decisive, self-confident, and risk-taking. Okay? The last category we are going to discuss is office operations. Now, this is work that deals mostly with detailed information and ways to organize its uses. I read that completely wrong. Sorry, guys. This is work that deals mostly with detailed information and ways to organize it, and uses office equipment. That's the problem. I had just missed an "and" in there, so I'm gonna just fix that. So here are some of the work industries and occupations for this category. Business offices, you'd be a bookkeeper, office personnel, dispatcher. Government offices, where you could be a records management technician, administrative assistant, or legal assistant. And then financial industry, mortgage agency, a mortgage agent, an accountant, insurance claims adjuster. Some of the skills you would want to have for this category would be keeping records, thinking logically, noticing details, working with numbers. Interests that you would have to have: numbers, words, office equipment, computers. Some values: security, order, and neatness. And some traits: precise, stable, organized, good at finishing tasks. All right, guys, so now I'm going to end here for today, and we will finish talking about the second step of the career planning process next week, Tuesday, okay? So please, guys, watch. I'm hoping that you guys all watched both parts of the video that I posted today, as like I said, it cut off randomly. So if you feel like you're missing the first part of today's workshop, it should be posted right below this, okay? Thank you for joining us for today's workshop, everybody. We are always, always, always happy to have you all participating with us every week. Also, please join us for the workshop discussion on Thursday from 11 to 12. I also want to remind you all to like our videos after you have watched them. This is the best proof we have of you all having watched the videos we post if you aren't joining us during the watch party. For those of you who have made previous arrangements with your staff about letting us know when you have watched the workshops, please continue to do what is planned for you specifically. Okay? Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.